shirt. Nice man.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know, I just need the green light, I don't know.
Good. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to New Covenant Food Pantry. My name is Pastor Kent. I am the director of the food pantry here. I'd like to give you just a quick snapshot of what our pantry does here. We're located right in the heart of Canton area. We service the 14223, 14217, and the 14072 communities. Our partnership with Feedmore of Western New York and the local retail stores, various food drives, and of course, most of all, the help from God. We're able to serve our local communities, families in need, for the last 30 years. Through those years, with the ups and downs of the economy, and even through the COVID restricted years, we were never had to miss a week. The only time was when we had the driving ban because of the Buffalo snow. There's only so much I can do there. But God has always provided our resources through others for us to do and help those. And what is called, a lot of people call the hands and feet of Jesus. That's our heart on this. I want to give just a quick testimony of why I do what I do. Back in the early 2000s, I worked at a large manufacturing company here in Buffalo. And my wife and I, Tammy, ran the pantry as a volunteer. And the company closed, lost my job, unemployment ran out, and I found myself attending the pantry that we were running. And that really showed me the face of a food pantry and how it can happen. Around that same time, a gentleman came to me during the pantry and said, "Pastor, this is food stability for me." And I asked him, I said, "Can you explain that?" And he said, "Well, last night I ate my last can of soup, knowing that I was coming to the pantry today to get more groceries." That showed me the need. Those two events alone has just driven me to get as much as I can, to be able to provide as much as I can to the people that come that are in need. So sometimes it's the unemployment, sometimes it's disability or injury, and then sometimes it's also a fixed income, somebody who retires that drives someone to have to come to the food pantry. There are many local food pantries in the Erie County area and every area that do what we get to do, that do it with the same heart as us. So it's not hard to find them, and I'm sure you're going to find out a little bit more about that. I say I live in the best community there could be. I love Western New York, I love Buffalo, and I love being able to do what I get to do. So that's all I got. I want to thank you for listening. I'll end with be good, do good, God bless, and go Bills. That's the catchphrase, and it's so true. So at this time, I would like to call up our County Executive, Mark Poloncarz, to share.
Thanks, Pastor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pastor Kent, and to the entire New Covenant Hope family for what you do in this community, especially at this food pantry. I remember coming through to this food pantry to witness what was the need in the community, a mobile food delivery a number of years ago, and the need is there. The need continues to grow. And unfortunately, what we're to talk about today is the need that may continue and substantially grow for food pantries starting in November. I'm joined, of course, by our Congressman Tim Kennedy. I appreciate him being here, and you'll hear from him in a moment. I'm also joined by our Deputy County Executive Lisa Chimera. You'll hear from her. Reverend Kaiser Pointer. Reverend Pointer has served as our chairman of our Erie County Poverty Committee, and I thank him for his service, not only to God, but also to our greater community, as well as we're joined by Dan Sweck, the first Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Social Services. We have lots of friends here. Our former Department of Social Services Commissioner Marie Cannon, who's now the CEO, is CAO. Say that a lot fast, it's not easy. We're also joined by Colin Bishop from Feedmore. You'll hear a little bit from Colin. We have a number of pastors here, and the Reverend Pointer will speak on their behalf, and I thank them all for being here. We have members of our Erie County team. There's really too many people to name, because I want to get right into it. There's a reason why we're here, and it's not a good reason. It's because of what's happening with regards to the federal government shutdown. For the, I think it's 23rd day right now for the federal government shutdown, and there hasn't been a dramatic effect yet with regards to services that are provided in our community. But it's coming in November if the federal government shutdown does not end. Because I unfortunately have to warn the community that effective in November, if you receive supplemental nutrition assistance benefits from the SNAP program, formerly known as food stamps, your benefits will run out. They will be on hold because of the federal government shutdown. That affects 140,550 people as of the last numbers we had in the county of Erie, or more than 78,000 households of all sorts of income brackets. It's not just individuals who are unemployed. It is individuals who are employed. It is seniors looking to supplement Social Security. It is working families with young children at home. So if the federal government shutdown does not end effective by November 1, every one of the SNAP recipients nationwide, this is not just an Erie County issue, this is nationwide, will lose their benefits. And as I said, that's 140,000 people plus in Erie County. It's more than 250,000 in all of Western New York when you take into the other counties. And to give you an impact, it's also an impact on our economy, because on a monthly basis, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program puts in $27.8 million into our local economy. So that's nearly $28 million that will be lost in our local economy if it extended for the entire month of November, and then so on and so on if the shutdown continued. And that's not the only thing that's going to be effective starting in November. We know it's getting colder out. It's October in Buffalo. We've had snowstorms in October. But November is a month in which it usually gets a lot colder and we start to see snowstorms. And it's also the beginning of our Home Energy Assistance Program, a regular program in November, usually the first Monday in November, which this month is November 3rd. We would normally start to sign up applicants and they would start to receive their benefits in November. As was announced by Governor Hochul yesterday, the HEAP season, which was slated to start November 3rd, is now being delayed until November 17th. So there's individuals in our community who normally rely on HEAP to help pay their utility costs, their gas bills, their electric bills, their home oil, depending on what it is they have. And that's a sizable amount of people, too. At the end of our HEAP season last year, which was March, there were 92,612 benefits authorized across Erie County, with an amount that was provided. It was $33 million basically in savings that the HEAP program would pay for. And HEAP was so expensive last year that the amount that we received from the federal government was not sufficient to cover the cost of the HEAP program last year, so New York kicked in millions of dollars to assist and ensure everyone had a warm home during the winter months. We often talk about the conundrum that working families and others have, which is the heat. It's the heat or eat. Do they pay enough? Do they have enough money to pay for their food or pay for their utilities? And we always say to folks, you should never have that conundrum, because we have the SNAP program and we have the HEAP program. The SNAP program, which will ensure that you have enough food to put on the table, as well as the HEAP program to ensure that you can pay for your utility bills. Well, it's the perfect storm. It's the double whammy, because effective in November, not only will we not be able to pay recipients their SNAP benefits, we will not be able to begin the HEAP program, so we will not be able to pay for and assist with the utility costs. It is wrong. It is shameful. It needs to get fixed, and it can get fixed if the federal government resolves the shutdown. I know there's been a lot of back and forth, but I will say this. When you are in government, and it's something I've had to do in Erie County government, you have to negotiate with the minority. And right now, the majority, the Republicans, control the House and the Senate. They need to negotiate with the minority to ensure that we are protecting individuals, not just with regards to HEAP and SNAP, but also for their health care. because there are 251,568 Medicaid recipients right now in Erie County. We've lowered the number. They've done recertifications. It was higher during the COVID years. It's dropped substantially. But there's a lot more people who are going to lose their health care if the current laws continue to go into effect. I know that's why the Democrats are fighting to protect that. We should not be in this situation. We're entering our winter months in Buffalo. Winter may not start on the calendar until December 21st, but we know that winter starts in Buffalo and Erie County in November. That's when we've had some really bad snowstorms and the cold weather comes. No family should ever have to make a decision as to whether pay their utility bills or buy food. I want to thank Pastor Kent for opening us up and having us here today. What I'm very fearful of is if this continues, food pantries across Erie County, Niagara County, Chautauqua County, all of Western New York, all of the country are going to get swamped because there's a lot of people who will not be able to provide for their basic sustenance, who will come to food pantries and find out that food pantries, you see the food here today, we're just not going to have enough. So we're asking the community also to continue to think about and make a contribution to your local food pantries to help them. We enter the November season and everyone thinks about, oh, I'm going to donate a turkey. And not to denigrate Feedmore's efforts to get turkeys in here. We want people to donate turkeys, but we also need them to donate other things. So if this shutdown continues, individuals in our community will not go hungry, especially children. Erie County government wants everyone to understand we will continue to accept applications for SNAP and HEAP. So if you need to apply for SNAP and HEAP, you can apply for SNAP and HEAP, even in November if the shutdown continues. There will be no benefits, though, until the shutdown concludes. So we want people to continue to file for benefits that qualify for them. If you get a request from the Department of Social Services, and our Deputy Commissioner will talk about this a little more, for additional information, paperwork, we need you to bring it down. We need you to provide it. But the benefits, which come from New York State through the EBT cards, will not be there unless the shutdown is concluded and the federal funds are released. So this is not a good thing. We're not here for a proud, happy announcement. We're here to warn people. You need to start preparing now because I don't know how long this shutdown is going to go, but if it goes through November, people are going to expect that they're going to be able to go and have their SNAP benefits reimbursed back onto their card for the new month, and there will be no money there. And no one should have to deal with that. With that, I want to thank everybody, but I want to introduce, of course, our Congressman Tim Kennedy to talk a little bit more about this. Thank you, and Congressman.
Thank you, County Executive. First of all, thank you very much to our County Executive for convening us, bringing us all together. I want to recognize Pastor Kent and the County Executive's team here that is doing an extraordinary job ensuring that people in our community are getting the benefits that they need. And you heard those numbers, our eye-popping numbers. In Erie County alone, but across Western New York, hundreds of thousands of people depend on these benefits that are all being put at risk because congressional Republicans refuse to end this shutdown and protect people's health care and provide for those individuals in our community that need it the most. At a time, as we're coming upon Thanksgiving, where we're talking about how we can help one another in our community, the city and community of good neighbors, how we can help ensure that people have food on the table, proper sustenance for them and their families. And congressional Republicans continue to refuse to do their job. I want to recognize the Deputy County Executive Lisa Chimera for her extraordinary work, Pastor Pointer, of course, Pastor Nicholas, Pastor Mark Blue, President of the NAACP, all these wonderful faith-based leaders and community leaders, all driven to do the right thing by our community. We're in the midst of this unprecedented and avoidable crisis. President Trump and congressional Republicans have chosen to shut down the government rather than fulfill their moral obligation to protect health care for tens of millions of Americans. It's a difficult fight, but it's a fight that's necessary to save lives. As the county executive noted, HEAP, benefits to ensure people have heat during these winter months, is under attack. In April, the Trump administration fired the staff that administers this critically important program at the Department of Health and Human Services, and 10,000 others in that same department. Illegal cuts, mind you, that we're challenging. On top of that, the president proposed eliminating the HEAP program in its entirety. It's unthinkable. This is cruel, inhumane, and will hurt our fellow Americans, including hundreds of thousands of Western New Yorkers who will feel the impact if these cuts go through. Likewise, nutritional assistance is under attack. This program is one of the most effective anti-hunger tools in our nation's history. And yet this administration and congressional Republicans voted to gut the program by nearly $200 billion and restrict eligibility for millions of Americans. Nutritional assistance program helps low-income families, seniors, children, veterans, those with disabilities in our community afford nutritious food, put food on the table. It's a program that exists to keep the most vulnerable Americans healthy and fed. Here in Western New York, nearly 1 in 5 households benefit from nutritional assistance. Not only are congressional Republicans and the Trump administration ripping away our health care, leaving our country sicker, they're also canceling nutritional assistance, leaving Americans hungry. And they're delaying and dismantling HEAP benefits, leaving people quite literally out in the cold. Worst of all, these cuts and delays hit the same people the hardest, the most vulnerable in our communities who can least afford it. Right now, we're dealing with an administration that is waging war on hard-working American families, including hundreds of thousands of people right here in our community, regardless of political stripe. This impacts everyone equally, and it hurts people in our community. Congressional Republicans and the Trump administration continue to inflict pain upon the people in our nation. It's time for this administration and congressional Republicans to stop playing politics with people's lives. This can all stop today if Republicans choose to put their constituents and our country first, instead of continuing to bend the knee to their wannabe king, Donald Trump. They need to return to Washington, cancel these horrible, cruel cuts, including the nutritional assistance and HEAP, protect our health care, and once and for all, end this shutdown and make our government work the way it should for the people of America. I'm honored to be here with my colleagues in this fight. Thank you, County Executive.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, Congressman. It's my pleasure to introduce our Deputy County Executive, Lisa Chimera, to the podium. She oversees a lot of the Health and Human Services program, as well as the Live Well Erie program, which really focuses on the issues we're talking about, making people's lives better, especially children, working families, and seniors. And those are the ones who are going to get affected the most by this unfortunate shutdown's impact on HEAP and SNAP. So, Deputy County Executive.
Thank you so much. I would like to say good morning to everybody, but it's just really difficult to say good morning on a day like today. I want to thank everyone for being here today. Erie County understands the importance of partnerships, and it is an honor to stand with the great partners that are assembled with us today, because we can't do this alone. So, of course, today is about bringing awareness to those who are going to be losing these critical benefits, but it's also to highlight some resources that are available to those in need. One of the things I would like to talk about that has been created by the amazing work that our Food Policy Council has done is Prepare Your Pantry, an opportunity to find items that you can put in your pantry that will last and that will go a long way. We also have our Emergency Eats cookbook. Both of these resources are extremely valuable and can be found on our website. But today is also about a call for action to our community. As a teacher, one of the things I worried about most was, were my students hungry? Not only am I worrying about, are my students hungry now, but are they cold? 70% of those impacted by these cuts are our children and our seniors. This is unacceptable. And quite frankly, as a former teacher, heartbreaking. So we are asking our City of Good Neighbors a call for action, and please consider donating to your local food pantries. This pantry, located in my hometown, the town of Tonawanda, has done great work. In fact, has provided resources to my students over the years. This pantry and pantries across Erie County are going to be the lifeline for families. So please consider donating to your local food pantry. I also want to thank the media today. We need you. We need you to help get this message out. We need you to make sure that resources are known. And we need every person in Erie County to know what they can do to address this critical situation at this critical time. So thank you for being here today. I would also like to take a moment to thank our Department of Social Services. They are doing extraordinary work during very challenging times, as you can imagine. I would like to introduce our first Deputy Commissioner, Dan Swick, to talk a little bit about what individuals can do in Erie County.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. I'd like to speak to the thousands of households being affected by the benefit delays next month. New applications and recertifications paperwork for both SNAP and HEAP will continue to be accepted as normal. Benefits for newly eligible households will be delayed until federal funds are released by Congress. It is important that households continue to submit the requested paperwork in a timely manner and that you remain available for any scheduled appointments. Our amazing staff continues to work on a daily basis in processing all these applications. So we want to make sure that everybody that is eligible can get them as soon as possible when the government shutdown ends. The Department of Social Services will contact SNAP households directly with information about emergency food resources next week. SNAP households should not come downtown to the Rath Building unless they need to drop off additional paperwork and/or are scheduled for an interview. Households that are in need of emergency food assistance may request a pantry referral through the SNAP call center at 716-858-7239 or by calling 211 or by texting their zip code to 898-211. The HEAP program opening date has been delayed from November 3rd to November 17th. Households should also continue to apply and submit required paperwork as normal. Benefits will be delayed until federal funds are made available by Congress. And finally, households facing an emergency utility shutoff in early November can apply for in-person utility assistance arrears benefits at 158 Pearl Street, Buffalo, the Rath Building. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our team in the Department of Social Services will be there to serve the public. Unfortunately, the money does not come through Erie County. It's not part of our county budget. It actually flows from the federal government to New York State, and then New York State releases the benefits. So you can't come downtown and think that there's going to be money there to assist you or put in your benefits card. It just isn't possible. We've got a lot of members of the local clergy, and I really thank them for being here. And once again, thank Pastor Kent for hosting us at the food pantry here. But to speak on behalf of our local clergy is someone that I've had the pleasure to work with for many years now and has served our county exceptionally well as the chair of the Erie County Poverty Committee, which focuses on these issues in every one of their meetings. How can we make people's lives better? It's just the basic question. Unfortunately, as we go into this upcoming month, if the shutdown continues, it's going to be very difficult to make people's lives better. But I welcome to the podium the Reverend Kaiser Porter to talk more about these issues. Reverend?
Thank you, County Executive, and thank you to all the elected and appointed officials. This is a really dark moment to anticipate. I was in a conversation with the County Executive yesterday, and this is a artificially crafted extinction event. I don't want you to think that that's hyperbole. We live in Western New York. If human beings don't have access to food, they will not survive. And then to compound that, in the real brutality of the moment, we will not have access to home energy assistance. That's intentional, and it's deliberate. And there's no way that we can meet every need for every person without all of us shouldering together. So what we are asking as faith leaders is that we begin not just to prepare our congregations, but prepare the communities around our congregations so that we will be ready to serve and they will know where to come. So if you don't have a food pantry in your church, in your mosque, in your temple, now's a good time to open a food pantry. I know that it's a logistical thing, but there are plenty of hands in all of our congregations to do this work. As a Christian, I'm asking every Christian to lean into Jesus's work, which was always with the poor. And so this is our opportunity to be who we should be being if we are not. So I'm asking you to consider that there are children, boys and girls. There are women who are with child, just gave birth to children. There are seniors who are absolutely dependent on both SNAP and HEAP. There are veterans who we don't do nearly enough for, and to snatch these benefits from them, a number of them service disabled on our behalf. And this is our thank you. It's shameful. And it's not reasonable. So reasonable minds need to meet up on Capitol Hill and figure this out and get this done and restore benefits that are absolutely necessary so that, as a matter of course, the founders said the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, none of which you can do hungry and cold. And we know in Western New York, in a day or so, will be cold. It's not cold yet, but it will be. And so we know what will happen. So I'm asking all of us in the faith community to, if you're not already doing this work, get busy about the work. And if you need someone to shoulder alongside of you, there are a number of my colleagues who will volunteer our knowledge on this. Over the 10 years that I have been privileged to serve as chair of the county's Poverty Commission, I can tell you this without equivocation. Erie County is made up of 105 zip codes, and there is poverty in every one of them. And in every zip code, there are men, women, boys, girls who receive both SNAP and HEAP. There's not a community in this community that is not affected. So we're asking, come shoulder with us so that none of our neighbors will be hungry. And it may be necessary for us to heat and open our sanctuaries around the clock. So this is stark work, but it's doable. And I know this about Buffalo and Western New York because I'm a Buffalo boy. We're equal to the task. So let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor Pointer, for those wise words, always wise words from Pastor Pointer. And he's right. Poverty exists everywhere in our community. There's not a part of our community, including the wealthiest, what are considered towns, zip codes, where there are not individuals who are in poverty, or not individuals who need assistance. It happens everywhere. I want to ask Colin Bishop to come up here from Feed More to talk a little bit how people can make donation assistance. And if we're in this food bank, but Feed More basically is the main organization that provides the food to these food banks. But before I bring Colin up, I want to note there's a word that became a really dirty word in government, and it's not a dirty word. It's compromise. Compromise is how government functions. And right now, what we're seeing in Washington is one side is refusing to compromise on anything. And that's why we're in this position we're in. I know as I go into my budget, I'm going to have to talk to the legislature. We issued our budget. We're going to talk to the legislature and we'll reach a compromise to have a budget that works for all. That's what we need from our friends in Washington. That's what we need from the individuals, including others from Western New York, that need to come to the table and realize they need to come to the table and compromise so people can go to the kitchen table and the dining room table and have food on it in about a week. So, Colin.
I want to thank the county executive, your team, and your office for putting this together and everybody being here today, and thank Congressman Kennedy as well for your support in Washington and raising awareness about the importance of these benefits and what's going to happen. And to all the faith leaders as well, the work that you guys all do with pantries in your communities and Pastor Kent, this is where it happens. This is the front line of making sure that the people who are most vulnerable in our community receive the nutritional assistance. Feed More is behind the scenes as the food bank. Anytime they need some kind of food that they are not receiving through a donated product from their community, they're able to order from the food bank and we bring it out in a delivery. So the food bank for Western New York is Feed More Western New York. We partner with 400 partner agencies around Erie, Niagara, Chautauqua, Cattaraugus County. Those pantries in all of those communities are going to be where people turn for nutritional assistance if SNAP is not restored and not funded in the month of November. We heard about the numbers, how many people that could send to pantries looking for nutritional assistance. You heard the county executive talk about this being a perfect storm. I agree with that. I will also add that if the shutdown is not ended, we will have another month where federal employees are not being paid. In Western New York, that's 14,000 people, according to the U.S. Census, who are not getting paid. They need to be able to pay their bills. They need to be able to afford food. That means they're also in the pantry system looking for nutritional assistance. On top of that, the holidays. That always brings an increased need to pantries. This year alone, we've already seen steady increases on top of years of increases. Over the last 3 years, it's been a 46% increase in the number of individuals who rely on one of our partner agencies for nutritional assistance. We're at a point where this safety net is going to need some additional support. SNAP is that first line of defense in terms of the nutritional safety net for people. The net is going to be very weak if SNAP is not restored and not funded for the month of November. That means the community and others might need to help pick that up. Feed More is going to be here to continue to provide the nutrition that our pantries need, get it out to the community. We're doing everything we can. But if we are losing funds from the federal government, if the federal government isn't funding SNAP, we need to find other ways to purchase the food and receive donated product that get into places like this and then end up in the homes and on the tables of people in our community. So if you're somebody in the community who's able to donate or able to volunteer, you can find all those opportunities on feedmorewny.org, ways to volunteer, ways to donate. Donate to your pantry that's nearby you that you have a connection with already. If you're not aware of a pantry in your neighborhood, it's easy to donate to Feed More as well, because Feed More, as like I said, the food bank will make sure that those donations get to any one of those 400 partner organizations in our community who are in most need. That's an easy way to help as well. If you can't donate, you can always volunteer. With additional donated products that are coming into our warehouse, we're going to need volunteers to sort all of it, package it up, and get it out to those food pantries like New Covenant. So you can register to volunteer on our website, find a time that works for you or your family, or even your a small employee group or neighborhood group to volunteer in our warehouse and do some work helping the community. Finally, for anybody who may be losing benefits, Pastor Kent shared his story about job loss, but he was already aware of this pantry and how to get nutritional assistance. If you're somebody who's a federal employee, not sure how you're going to pay your bills another month, if you're a SNAP recipient who hasn't needed to use a pantry in the past, you may not be aware of where to find a pantry. There is also a Find Food button on feedmorewny.org. That's the best place where you can enter your zip code, you can enter your address, someplace that's close by to you. Find one of our partner agencies that's nearby you. It tells you the hours that they're open, how to get in touch with them, and then that's the best way to find nutritional assistance that's close by and convenient for you. I think, yeah, thank you very much again.
Thanks, Colin. And Feedmore has been affected earlier this year during the Doge cuts. Feedmore lost millions of dollars that goes directly to food banks across the country for fresh food, which is part of the program that Feedmore has with us for the Meals on Wheels program. So they've already lost millions of dollars, and we're going to have this nastiness hit. One final thing, I know some of you have heard this before. My family lived having to have SNAP benefits when I was young. It was called food stamps. When Bethlehem Steel went through some of its layoffs, my father was laid off. He had part-time jobs. My mom had part-time jobs, but that wasn't enough. And they had food stamps, which I remember as a child helping my mother pull out of the book. They were a working family. It's not like they were unemployed. My father lost his job, but he went out there and he got 2 part-time jobs to supplement, but it wasn't enough. And so for those who are going out there and saying individuals on SNAP don't deserve this, working families, seniors, veterans are the ones that are affected. And I just want people to understand that it could be your neighbor. It could be your family member who relies on SNAP, as well as HEAP. And no family should ever have the conundrum of having to choose between heating their home or putting food on the table, heat versus eat. But that's what's coming in November for many Western New York families. And as I said, it's shameful and it's unconscionable. And I thank everyone for being here today to sign the warn, to ring the warning bell, so to speak. And finally, one final thing, I want to thank Rachel Violante from Deaf Access Services for providing our American Sign Language to all today. With that, we'll open up to questions for the media, if there are any.
Congressman Kennedy, I mean, the frustration level, you're watching, the White House, back of the White House being torn down, an elaborate ballroom. People here are suffering in this community. It's going to get worse. I mean, I can't even imagine the frustration you have that there's no level of power.
I think everyone's frustrated. I think people are infuriated with what they're seeing with Donald Trump and congressional Republicans and what they're doing. You question whether or not they even care. Because how could you put such devastating policy in place and actually care about the people you represent? I know the answer to that. You can't. You don't. I don't believe this president and those that are enabling him in Congress, which are the congressional Republicans in this moment, care of the devastation that they're wreaking upon the people of this great country, including our extraordinary community here in Western New York.
Congressman, Monday you had an event out in Snyder, talked about lack of funding for special needs programs. Again, following up what Eileen said, does that, all this combined, add to your level of frustration?
Well, it is all part of what this president and congressional Republicans are doing. Their vision of Project 2025 that they disassociated themselves with is now actually becoming a reality. They're dismantling government. But when you dismantle government, what happens? People get hurt. But what does dismantling government mean? It means the cuts of $800 billion that they made to Medicaid, the cuts of $500 billion that they made to Medicare, the cuts to $300 billion that they made to the health exchange, kicking millions of people off of their health insurance and making health care costs skyrocket in this country. The cuts to $200 billion in supplemental nutritional assistance program funding that's going to impact hundreds of thousands of families here in Western New York that we are fighting for here today. Not to mention the HEAP program that this president has proposed to totally eliminate. It's unconscionable. That's what this fight is all about.
What's your response?
I just want to add to that. This is not a Democratic issue. This is an American issue. And to Congressman Nick Langworthy and Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, there's a greater percentage of their districts that rely on this assistance than even in Congressman Kennedy's district. There are more people as a percentage of the population that are on Medicaid and public assistance programs in Chautauqua County, and Cattaraugus County, and Orleans County, and Allegheny County than in Erie County. They're going to get hurt. And I would hope those congressional representatives have the guts to face their constituents who are hungry and don't have heat, to understand that a lot of people are saying, oh, it's just affecting people in the city of Buffalo. No, the rural areas are going to get decimated. And I think it needs to be said that this is an American issue that requires everyone coming to the table to resolve. And for those who say, nah, it's just the Democrats that are doing this, it's not. So I don't know how Congressman Langworthy or Congressman Tenney could even face any of their constituents who are losing their food assistance, who are losing their HEAP assistance, and say, oh, it's not my problem, because that's what they're doing.
Congressman, what is your response then to Republicans that say that the Democrats are causing this because you're causing the shutdown, hence you're causing all of these problems because health care issues can be negotiated later?
I think Speaker Mike Johnson and Majority Leader Thune think the people of America are stupid. I think they think people are buying what they're selling. But I believe in the people of this country, and I believe that people are a hell of a lot smarter than they're giving us credit for. This president is telling them not to even negotiate with congressional Democrats. How do you create a bipartisan bill that works for the people of America if you're not even willing to get in a room and negotiate it? Because their president, Donald Trump, who they want to make king, is telling them not to even negotiate. You can't make a bipartisan solution. So what we're asking congressional Republicans to do is get back to Washington, end your vacation, end this shutdown, do the work, cancel the cuts, protect health care in this country, and make life more affordable for working families.
Have you tried talking directly to Nick or Claudia or Lisa Chimera?
Jim, look, at the end of the day, Democrats and Republicans need to get in a room down in Washington, the leadership, Speaker Johnson, Majority Leader Thune, need to work with Democrats in order to get this over the finish line. They are unwilling to even negotiate. That's the bottom line.
But have you tried calling?
We speak regularly when we're in Washington. He's following his party's lead. That is what it is. The bottom line is, I'll let him speak for himself. We've got a job to do. We know what that job is. It's protecting the people of this great country, protecting health care, and making life more affordable. When you're seeing the cost of groceries skyrocket, the cost of energy skyrocket, the cost of housing skyrocket, and now the attack on health care in America is driving the cost of health insurance up for every American. When November 1st hits and the tax breaks that have been protected in Washington for many years run out, people are going to start receiving paperwork and notification that their health care costs are going to go through the roof. And in many cases, millions of Americans are going to lose their health insurance because of congressional Republicans' attack on health care in America and defunding the health exchange. That is absolutely inherently wrong, and the people of America deserve much better than that. That's, again, what we're fighting for.
If there's no other questions, I thank everyone.
Sorry.
Is it on topic?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Correct me if I've misunderstood, I think this is one from the Social Security Commissioner. I think that you said that you're pausing new qualifying household applications for SNAP.
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no,
can you
we're
just clarify?
no. All applications will be accepted, you just won't get any benefits.
Okay.
So it does. So if you're called for a recertification, please come in. We'll recertify it. If you're seeking new assistance, come in. You make the application, but there'll be no benefits that'll be passed to anyone, whether it's someone who's currently in the system or someone who's applying for new. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I have an off-topic if you